Green to Stay Eco.
And Dean ProQuo.
With the bounty news, the news with the Tinge Mutiny. And the title of our report today is Australian Boomers, the most mollycoddled generation in history. Is that too controversial, Dean?
I don't think it is controversial, Ian, because, well, look at the word controversial. It means a difference of opinion or an opinion that doesn't convey what the general consensus is, right? That's what a controversy is. But we're not trying to create a controversy. We're talking about how they are a mollycoddled generation. And why are we saying that, Ian? Green to say.
Yeah, well, I remember in my generation, it's funny. It's a funny topic because I had two opinions of old people when I was young. I had that I felt sorry for them, that they were poor, and so I thought, oh, wouldn't it be good, when I was like 12 or 13, if the people that were in their 40s, if they had an opportunity to tap into Australia's fantastic resources and entrepreneurial opportunities. And now I think I took that thought too far, because little did I know that with all the share offerings that were offered around the 80s, we had Telstra that was privatized. We had
so Qantas. What it seems like we're talking about here is that stock option that was given to a lot of those generations that seem to, be working in the backgrounds and given an opportunity to buy into assets were sold off. Public assets that were sold off to these generations that said, well, they wanted to cure wealth. They didn't want to live in poverty, so they've taken on board this wealth. And I mean, what we're really sort of trying to say here was at the beginning of a change of in Australia, the corporatization of Australia and Australian assets, and a different generation that seemed to create, a huge divide.
Yeah, it seems that we went from a more social community to a privatized, selfish outlook. I can't believe the changes in Australia from when I was young. Every little thing now is, you get charged for it. You just have to, this is for an example. You drive past a football stadium, every little nook and cranny that you cannot see inside that stadium. When I was young, you could walk. I mean, yes, there were ticketed events for the football, but if you wanted to, you could look through the fence, and you didn't have police and security guard, clamping down on kids just because they saw, a footballer kick a football, or a cricketer. Now they set up, even Ramwick, the local football stadium, they set up almost like ironclad security around it, so no one can see anything. This is the corporatization. This is all the privatization of all. Yeah. Now think about where all these assets came from. They were paid for by the community. They were paid for by taxes. They were built.
This is also probably one of the last generations that were sort of like, you had a job for life almost. You could work in it 20, 30 years, get superannuation, and then be given shares on top of that because of your efforts. I mean, who's been in this generation of any jobs that have had those benefits? I mean, we would love to hear from you and see your point of view. I think that's where we want to generate this conversation. We're doing it because we see there's been so much capitalisation, there's subcontracting everywhere, even councils have changed, everything has changed in our lifetime, and it's changing in my daughter's generation. I mean, everything is going to, being more entrepreneurial and standing on your own 2 feet, which is good, but there's no benefits, there's no funding, there's no backup, there's nothing to get you there. You have to go into a debt, and a huge debt, before you even join society, where it was the other way around during the baby boom period. And why is that? What happened? Why did it go from the government looking after the people to the people looking after the government?
Yeah, that's a really good point. And You know, like even the politicians in our early generation, they were much more communal. Now just look at all the corruption that's in our politics. Is this because that these politicians want to build up their own personal portfolios and wealth?
I think we're talking from what media releases are out there as well. We're not claiming that, you know, any particular government, whether it's bipartisan or not, or whether it's the Greens, the lefts, the rights, the middles, or whatever. It doesn't really matter where the corruption is heading from. This is where the media sort of feeds in, and I'm not saying it's murder, because it's not particularly any news. What we're presenting here is that we've noticed this. So we're presenting our version. We're saying that we've seen this, and if we see this, that means everybody else is seeing it.
Yeah.
And we're just the average day guy. We are what would have been the battlers saying we're battlers. We're the everyday person. We're the person on the street working for very little.
I think what we're trying to do with this conversation is to bring even young people into the topic, but we want to give them some context, because you just touched on it. The corporate establishment media, they just perpetuate a machine with no context whatsoever. So, for example, there's no context with the current, say, war in the Ukraine. When we grew up in the Cold War. I don't want another Cold War. There doesn't seem to be any media reflecting on the context that we've already had this Cold War. Why are we still perpetuating a Cold War that had no fruitage, no benefits, nothing for Australia anyway? I mean, these Cold Wars are thousands of miles away. Why is our establishment leading us into this mentality?
And that's
again?
the question that we're asking to the people, ladies and gentlemen out there, and everybody in between. Everybody's welcome, all inclusive. Come and join us at Dean ProQuo or Green to Stay. Come and have this discussion with us. Join the memberships. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all the rest of it. All the other platforms are out there. We want this conversation. Why do we want it? Because we care. Not only do we care, it's our world that we live in, and it's our country that we live in. It's our country. Don't forget that, people. It's our country. Yeah, exactly. They represent us.
Exactly. Like, never feel like, we know that in the media, in entertainment, there's this air of a different class setup, as if there's a like a monarchist type system. But we should be getting rid of all this thing. We should be becoming more independent. And if you're deserving for benefits, that's fair enough if you work for them, but they shouldn't be just handed to you.
No, that's right. I mean, if people do their homework out there, you will see that, you know, how the monarchy takes in 15% of all the land that they own worldwide. 22 different continents they're on. 15%. Go and do your own research. Come back and talk to us. I'm Dean ProQuo and
Green State Eco Bounty News, the news with the tinge of mutiny.
Become a member now and see more intimate details, conversations, interviews. Come and join us. Come and join the conversation. Come and do it now.
Yeah, we want to get your feedback. We want to hear what you got to think about this. We know that the economic system is designed to pressure everyone in debt. You've got to see it for what it is. It's designed to smokescreen everyday people out of the conversation and give it to people like Alan Jones. What would Alan Jones know about the life of an everyday person? The guy's a multi-millionaire. So we need to get our voice back and not let these talking heads steal the narrative. Like Gene said, it's our planet, it's our country, and we want to take it back. So we want your thoughts too.
Start locally, right? Think globally.
Yeah, thanks for that. Okay, we'll sign out there. Okay, thanks, Dean, and we'll catch up soon with another episode.
Thank you, and join us soon.